History is in session. Few figures loom as large as Alexander the Great. His name alone suggests unquestionable greatness. But was Alexander truly deserving of that title? Or has history been persuaded by legend? Alexander was the king of Macedon, and in his lifetime, he was treated as a living demigod by Egyptians and Greeks alike. He conquered Persia, one of the largest empires the world had ever known. He studied under Aristotle, and stories of his cleverness, like cutting through the impossible Gordian knot, have echoed through centuries. But many of these stories blur the line between history and myth. Calling Alexander great may reflect not just his achievements, but also the powerful propaganda that surrounded his rise, especially his aggressive military expansion, including his invasion of Persia. That invasion, however, was not entirely without precedent. A century earlier, Persia had sacked Athens and conquered Greek territories. After Alexander's father, Philip II, united much of Greece under Macedonian control, he planned a campaign to liberate Greek lands still under Persian rule. Alexander inherited this ambition and carried it forward. Yet the idea of liberation is complicated. Many Greeks simply exchanged Persian rule for Macedonian dominance. And Alexander's rise to power itself is controversial. Philip was assassinated shortly before the Persian campaign began. While some sources suggest the killer was a disgruntled former lover, others argue Alexander had a strong motive, especially since Philip had recently taken a new wife in hopes of producing another heir. Regardless of how Alexander came to the throne, his military skill was undeniable. His victories depended not only on inherited power, but on strategic brilliance. At the Battle of Issus, for example, Alexander positioned his army along a riverbank, forcing the much larger Persian force into a narrow space. This disrupted their formation, limited their movement, and neutralized their numerical advantage. Still, military genius does not come without cost. Alexander's rapid expansion brought violence and upheaval across vast regions. Yet his conquests were not always as destructive as one might expect. In Egypt, the Persian governor surrendered without a fight. After many victories, Alexander preserved local systems and even expanded infrastructure. One major exception was Persepolis, the Persian capital, which Alexander burned. This act was likely intended to maintain Greek support, as it was widely viewed as revenge for Persia's earlier destruction of Athens. Notably, Persepolis was the only city Alexander destroyed during more than a decade of campaigning. More often, Alexander founded cities, over 20 of them, and named many Alexandria, a legacy that still shapes geography today. This widespread city building helped amplify his reputation, though in reality, Alexander conquered a single